Yeah, so I'm 17 years old and I still go to school, and I have for the past, what is it now, 10 years or some shit, even more than that, 11 years. And one of the main habits that I've had throughout this entire time is to come home from school and start eating immediately, basically. And from a very young age to about 15, I consumed a lot of bullshit content, a lot of sugar, a lot of unhealthy carbohydrates and stuff that made me slow and lethargic. And it was always in at this time in the afternoons that I would fall into content consumption and video games and stuff. When I would be lethargic and slow and tired from the school day, and also because of the fact that I was eating so much bullshit food. Like, if you didn't know this, what you eat and how much you eat and when you eat has a very large impact on your overall energy levels, and not in the way that you might think. Like, you might think that eating food gives you energy and stuff, and sure, that's true in the the long run. Obviously, if you don't eat for a week, then you're not going to be able to train for hours every single day, or at least it's going to be a lot harder to do that. You're gonna get more energy, let's say, over a week if you're eating than if you're not, obviously. But when you're eating, or when you just ate, when your body's digesting the food, you're actually very much deprived of energy, at least like both cognitively and physically. Like you probably know about a term called food coma. It's basically when you have eaten a big ass meal and then afterwards you're super slow and lethargic. You're just tired. You just want to lie down. You just want to consume some fucking content or whatever. You don't want to do anything that's hard. And the reason for that is because the human body is designed that way. Because when we've just eaten, it signals to our body that we've just hunted a big boar or something, a big boar, a big elk or a moose or a deer or something, and that we've eaten, we've feasted, right? Because the human body today is not really designed for today's environment, because we've evolved so quickly, so rapidly. Like, the human body has not really changed that much, at least not these fundamental biological processes like digestion and energy levels and diet and like food and stuff. It hasn't changed for the last like dozens of thousands of years. We're still biologically back in the caveman days, you know um, which does become problematic for us today, because like our environment has evolved so much quicker than we have, with the cognitive revolution and the agricultural revolution in the industrial revolution and stuff. So really what I'm trying to say is that your diet can have such huge negative impacts on your energy levels. And this is one of the like, I've not heard a lot of people speak about this, but is one of my favorite tactics to stop myself from falling into content consumption and digital addiction. Basically what I do to prevent this is that I fast, meaning I don't eat for the first 46 hours of my day and the last 46 hours of my day. So I go to bed at about I go to bed at 9:30, and let's say I sleep at like 10, and I wake up at 6. 8 hours of sleep roughly. And but basically what happens then is that I have 18-hour window of every day where I don't eat. And basically what happens then is that my body it doesn't have to be digesting food, and then my energy levels can be a lot higher. And with this, like, how this ties into digital addiction specifically, with consuming content and playing video games like I used to do a lot, is that you're so much more likely to be slow and lethargic and weak-minded, and you're going to be deprived of willpower when you're just eating like a bunch of a big bowl of cereal or some fucking shit like that, or some oats, even more healthy food like oats and stuff like rice, a big meal of like pasta or something. It's gonna sap your willpower a lot. Like in the mornings, like right now, I'm a lot more clear-minded. I have a lot more willpower and discipline, or at least it's way easier to be disciplined and have willpower now, because my energy levels aren't sapped through digestion. So if you, for example, find yourself, or actually, let me say what I do first. So I still eat in the afternoon, you know. Because I'm trying to bulk in a sense, you know, I'm trying to gain muscle, and I don't really have a choice but to eat in the afternoon. Like I eat in at like 10 to 12 roughly, somewhere around that time, and from about 4 to maybe down to 6, but let's say roughly 4 to 5, let's say 4 to 6. That's when I eat, and those are those are the times that I'm very much the most prone to falling into, you know, consuming content or something. I've developed such a a pretty high baseline of willpower and discipline that um, I can eat a big meal and still resist the bad habits. But I wasn't always able to do that, you know. And the times when I'm definitely the most drawn and pulled towards, for example, video games like, um, let's say, online chess, which is obviously like most people probably wouldn't consider that a video game, but to be honest, I do, because you're sitting at a laptop clicking. Basically, that's all you're doing on a game digitally. So I consider that a video game, you know, at least when you're doing it on the computer, specifically with like faster games, like when you're playing 3 minute chess games online, like I've done a lot. There's a lot of dopamine involved in that, and I've taken a step back from that recently. Then the past month, um, yeah, the past month really, I've taken a big step back from that. But the times when I'm most pulled towards doing that is when I'm, let's say, in class. It's 1 p.m. I've just eaten like ate. I just ate three massive like monster servings of rice and or like chicken and rice or something. And it's and on top of that, the teacher's yapping about some bullshit that is fucking. It's so boring, so useless information, and I just can't help but just sit there and fucking be lethargic, you know. Or I can't help it. I've developed some like I meditate on being more present and cognitively sharp, but it's a lot harder to actually remain like disciplined and motivated to do like productive habits when you just man, the birds are chirping a lot, you know. Yeah, bro, but it's a lot harder to remain disciplined for me when I have a lot of food in my body and I'm slow and lethargic, you know. So I still eat in the afternoons, but I make sure I never touch any like bullshit processed junk food, like sugary foods like candy or uh, bakery, like pastry, what it's called, whatever it's called, like croissants and muffins and stuff. Nothing like that ever. No soda, no chips, no fucking junk food ever. Um, I do eat things like oatmeal and stuff, but it's kind of I can handle that, you know, right now at least. What I'll usually do is that I'll eat while I watch some educational content, some unedited educational content, like for example, some sort of podcast-like thing, like videos like these. You know, I watch when I eat, um, so I can kind of get some education while I eat as well. So that's kind of nice, in a sense. But generally I try to like what I basically my main strategy with this is that I don't eat around the clock. I don't wake up and grab some fucking cereal or some other stuff, and start eating right away. I think that's advantageous for muscle protein. What is it called? Muscle protein synthesis, right? For building muscle. I think that's pretty good for that kind of stuff. But I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest. I think I'm gonna make fine gains by eating just twice a day, but eating a lot throughout those like in those periods. So yeah, that's basically what I do. You know, I wake up, I fast for 4 to 6 hours, fast for 4 to 6 hours before I go to bed. I have this 6 hour window every day where or roughly let's say 6, 7, maybe 8 hour window. Let's say 6, 7, where I eat a fuck ton of food, usually in 2 rounds at lunch and at a very early dinner at like 4 or 5 p.m. So that's it served me very well, and I do absolutely feel the difference. Like when I've eaten a lot, I'm definitely a lot more pulled towards digital addiction and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I urge you to give this a try, to even if you're bulking, just try intermittent fasting. Just eat more food later in the day, you know, and then you can do the same. Like, I would highly recommend thinking about the times when you're the most prone or vulnerable to falling into digital addiction or something like that. Um, you know, consuming content or playing video games. It might be at evening time or something, um, and it might be in the morning or something. I don't know. You can think for yourself, when are you the most likely to indulge in these bad habits, and just make sure that you're not eating a lot of specifically high carb foods, you know, with a lot of carbohydrates, like um, sugars, and even things like oats and rice and pasta and that kind of stuff. um, just at least until you've gotten to the level of willpower where you can actually still resist the bad habits, while while you're having fuck so at least to the point that you can still, like, for example, the point that I've gotten to, where I have built up a level of willpower where I can resist bad habits even when I've eaten a lot of food, high carb stuff, though I'm still ultimately going to be more pulled towards it, you know. And another final thing that I'll just add is that if you are someone that is primarily focused on, like, for example, business or school or like studying or something like that, or a career or something, or your online business perhaps, then if that's your priority in life, and that's like the main thing that you're working on, you're not too concerned about fitness. You might go to the gym like 5 times a week, but the main thing is your work, right? Then you can actually just go into the keto diet entirely, which is when you cut out carbs, either like a low carb diet or a no carb diet. You know, when you're just eating meat and eggs and nuts and cheese and like dairy, or what it's called, yeah, dairy, I think, milk and stuff like that. Though milk is kind of estrogenic, but that's a separate point. And when you're abstaining from things like oats and sugars and like grains in general, like bread and stuff, when you're abstaining from that, because you're gonna have a lot more mental clarity, which is gonna result in more willpower, and you'll be able to resist content consumption and scrolling a lot more easily. So and that's what because I did that, you know, last summer. I was on this keto diet. I was working. I was like writing an ebook for like 8 to 10 hours a day. Um, so I was on the keto diet. I ate a fuck ton of chicken and stuff, but I took a back step from like carbs of all sorts. You know, I don't do that any like at least at this right now, because I train for like 3 hours a day roughly. So carbs are kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say necessary, but they're definitely advantageous to have when you're training that much. So depending on who you are and what your goals are, you can pick the diet that you think will result in the best level of willpower and discipline that'll enable you to, you know, stop fucking doom scrolling and stuff, indulging in video games and these bad habits. So yeah, bro. If you want more help with this kind of stuff, you can click the link in the description. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, bro.